Am I the asshole for refusing to give birth in husband's home country? Background. Husband and I met in US when he was here on a visa. I got my passport. We each traveled to and from each other's countries to visit, meet family, and got married. He's from Mexico, I'm from US. We didn't plan on having children this soon. But my body started rejecting the birth control I was on, and while we were switching that up, I got pregnant. We're both over the moon excited, and I'm a little over 4 months now. All is well, but lately he's been pushing me to go to Mexico for the birth. My husband's plan is basically that we take a trip, when I'm 38-ish weeks, and just wait for me to go into labor. His cousin is an OB, so we would go to her hospital to deliver. His family could be present. My family can get passports and travel to Mexico much easier than his family can get visas and travel to America. I pointed out that my family would just have to wait for me to go into labor to buy plane tickets or wait around in Mexico for a few weeks for me to go into labor, and he didn't see an issue. When he first brought it up, he said it was because the cost would be so much cheaper, but so far insurance has covered all of my visits and will likely cover most of the birth. The uncovered portion will probably be the same as paying out of pocket in Mexico. The next time he brought it up, he said it was because our child could be a dual citizen. I pointed out then that he wouldn't have to be born in Mexico to be a dual citizen if his parent is a citizen. Third time he brought it up, he said it was unfair that his family couldn't be in the US for the birth but that mine could. And I do realize that having the baby in Mexico would make it easier for both families to come together for the birth, but the main problem is that I really want to be in control of my labor and delivery. I've already searched around for the hospital that will be most supportive of the birth I have envisioned, and I really like my OB. I've discussed what I am and am not comfortable with, medical intervention, etc. I don't want to deliver in a hospital that I've never been to with a doctor who does not speak English. I've taken Spanish courses in an effort to be able to talk to his family more, but I'm not fluent enough to be able to understand medical jargon or to feel comfortable trying to tell her and nurses what I do or don't want. My husband is very upset and says that it is his baby too, and he should get a say in how, where he is born. I feel a little differently since it is very much me who is going through the experience of labor and delivery until I'm holding our son in my arms. My body that will be stuck, poked, examined, and exposed. I just want to be as comfortable as possible while all of this is happening, but he thinks I am being selfish and inconsiderate of his family. So, am I the asshole for refusing to have my baby in Mexico? Edit. I talked to husband using a lot of the information here and now he's totally fine and on board with a US birth. He hadn't considered the possibility of anything going wrong, only everything going right, and he hadn't considered the time to get a passport and file everything, etc. Not the asshole. I'm not fluent enough to be able to understand medical jargon or to feel comfortable trying to tell her and nurses what I do or don't want. For the love of God, have your baby where you can communicate with your doctor. Not the asshole, but I'm curious what the plan is after the baby is born. There's immigration and passports for baby involved in all this. This sounds more about his family having time with the baby for several weeks, months until you're recovered and baby can enter legally into the US. I also assume you're not leaving your baby and returning to the States until immigration issues are sorted. Editing to add also please check with your embassy. In some countries you cannot take a child out of the country without the father's permission. Not sure the laws in Mexico, but I would not go to Mexico at this time. What the fuck? It's a labor and delivery, not a wedding. You do not need to plan a destination childbirth so his family can be there. He is being absolutely ridiculous and dismissive of your health needs. Not the asshole. When he's pregnant and it's his body on the line, he can do what he likes. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. No, you want to have the kid in the US, so instant citizenship. What is he even thinking? If you don't, you can't just have the kid in Mexico and bring him back and he's instantly a US citizen just because you are. You'd have to report their birth at the nearest US embassy or consulate in Mexico as soon as possible so that a consular report of birth abroad, CRBA, can be issued as an official record of the child's claim to US citizenship or nationality. So you'd have to jump through some hoops to get him designated a US citizen. Not the asshole. Your husband saying, he should get a say in how, where he is born. Getting a say means he can float his preference for your approval or veto. As the person doing the physical delivering, you get the final say in where it happens. Period. The end. Not the asshole. Hell no. If you'd like to see what it's like to give birth in a foreign country where you don't speak the language, check out 90 Day Fiancé. Horrifying. I can't imagine my being in pain, scared and having to try and communicate with hospital staff in an uncomfortable language without access to friends and family. They can see the baby via Zoom until you can travel. I am assuming your marriage is solid and this isn't a way to keep you in Mexico? I would guess you have zero rights to fly home with baby without his permission? #Do not go to Mexico to give birth. Not the asshole. Childbirth is a painful and sometimes deadly medical procedure. Quite frankly, you are the only one of the two of you in danger of serious injury or even death if something goes wrong. You being able to communicate properly with your doctor and nurses is exponentially more important than it being convenient for his family to visit. He's putting his family's convenience over your health and life. You shouldn't do the same. Not the asshole. He had the nerve to call you selfish for not hauling your 38 weeks pregnant ass down to his hometown, to be attended by a doctor you've never met and who doesn't speak English. But somehow you are the selfish one? I'm getting a big whiff of machismo off his attitude and I must say, it's very unappealing. For your well-being as well as your baby's, stay home where you are comfortable. That comes first. Definitely not the asshole, but if part of the reason is that it is more difficult for his family to visit from Mexico, then maybe you two could visit them after you are well enough and feeling up to it? Would be so much less stressful and then it could be a proper introduction, visit instead of an immigration and new parent nightmare. Oh my gosh, being bombarded by my in-laws' family and having to navigate being a brand new parent sounds like the worst thing ever. He may have his wishes but his logic does not take you into account at all. Only his family and his wants, needs. Don't go there for the birth, but maybe a proper visit could be a compromise. You will need to recover and bond and may regret it forever if you let him take that away from you. Sure, it's his baby too, and when it's out of you he can have an equal say in the decision-making process. But until then, it's your uterus, your birth, your body on the line, so you get to go where you feel safest. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You need to be in a place that you are comfortable, with doctors on your side, that speak your language. Something else to consider, if you have the baby there, you could have problems coming back due to paperwork and the child not yet having an American birth certificate, passport. And another thing, your husband could take your baby and disappear into Mexico while you're recovering. This is abuser 101 right here. Isolation. He's trying to isolate you from your family. See the ocean of red flags yet? Location flag, 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 location flag. Not the asshole. I gave birth to my daughter in Germany. My ex and I are US citizens and he was in the military. I didn't speak a word of German and I wasn't aware of a lot of what was going on. I ended up needing a C-section and they wouldn't tell me why. I was treated like I was a moron and it was really frustrating. It's your body and you're the one who's doing the physical work, so it should ultimately be up to you where you want to give birth. I wish I had the choice. Not the asshole. He is not the one having the baby. So he gets no say in where you have the baby, you do. Once the baby is born, then yes, by all means be a team. But for you to have a baby in a country where you don't speak the language fluently while you're going through the trauma of having a child, no, just no. This isn't about families, it's about you and your child's comfort and safety. Good luck and congratulations. His family not being able to be there for the birth because they live in a different country is just a fact of life. It's not something that you should have to rearrange your birth plans for. Not the asshole. You've picked a hell of a man to have a baby with. I noticed that you deleted a post asking about possible abusive behavior. If you have to even ask that, then your situation is probably abusive. Please get support from your family and leave this man. NTA. He should be respectful of what you want. Really, neither family would be in the hospital room while you're giving birth, so it shouldn't really matter where the baby is born. Sure, it's his baby too, but you are the one who needs to be accommodated, not him and not either of your families. NTA. This isn't about families being able to meet the baby easier or citizenship or whatever. This is about you and the baby. You might have an idea of what you should expect during birth, but it doesn't necessarily mean everything will go smooth, and whether that happens or not, your comfort is the top priority, as you are the one dealing with either pushing a baby out or getting cut up. Therefore, put what he says aside. What do you feel best for you and baby? Where will you feel more comfortable? In the event of an emergency, do you really feel like trying to go in between translating or trying to find words for what you feel? Not the asshole. Fucking hell. Get away from this guy. He wants to drag you to a foreign country to give birth. You'll be isolated from everyone and everything you know, barely able to communicate, and physically incapable of moving very much, all of this with your newborn baby. Your husband is demanding you do this just so he can give his extended family access to his baby, with no concern for your safety or comfort. Think about that for a bit. Edited to remove fearmongering, since you don't think he's likely to take your baby to Mexico without you. Not the asshole. Not sure if it's been mentioned, but a doctor may not even approve you to fly at that stage of pregnancy. Not the asshole. Knowing how Hispanic families work and reading what he is asking, I would go further and sit down with him to discuss postpartum wishes. I say this because what you may find yourself with is a mill that comes to your house while you are in the hospital and doesn't leave until responsibilities or legalities make her. Even more, you can find yourself hosting the whole family while trying to recuperate and navigating COVID times with a newborn. You guys need to sit down and iron out all the details now that you can discuss them with time. Not the asshole. Do not let him convince you to go to Mexico. You need to be able to communicate with the people giving you medical care. Edit. Autocorrect. Not the asshole. No, he ultimately has no say in any birth decision. You need to give birth where you are most comfortable. Not the asshole. I understand his feelings, but at the end of the day, giving birth is very stressful and should be done in an environment with the least amount of stress possible. And for you, that would not be Mexico. Please do not let your husband guilt or coerce you into doing anything that you do not want to do for this birth. Not the asshole. Not his medical procedure, not his choice. What is it with these men who think being the baby's dad means they get to dictate the mother's labor? There was another "am I the asshole" in that realm recently. This is your body that is going to be going through the birth. You should do it in the country that you're comfortable in, not somewhere where you can't speak the language, and can't advocate for yourself. If he continues to press this, he is a massive asshole and frankly a bit shady. Not the asshole. One more thought to think about. Coming back to US with a baby, it's harder and longer process than you think, especially with COVID. You will have to request legalization of your baby to come back and lots of proof, and it will give you major headache. Stay in the US. One more thought. No airline will let you fly after 30 weeks, I think. And flying at 38 week will increase your chances of major complications. Do you need to give birth while flying? Not the asshole. My friend and I are Canadian and we work in Mexico, when there is no COVID. He and his wife had a son while he was down there. Holy shit. The pain and agony it took to get the little guy's paperwork in order so he could come back up to Canada was insane. It took months to get that sorted out. The US is way harder with visas. Not the asshole. It's a terrible idea. Are you flying? Germs. A ton of family members visiting? Germs. Even if there wasn't a pandemic, it would still be a bad idea. If someone asked me to go to another country and give birth, away from the OB I carefully chose, I would laugh at them. I get where he is coming from and why he is feeling left out. But not the asshole based on the fact you are pregnant and your stress levels are a big factor in a healthy pregnancy. So you need to do what makes you comfortable. Not the asshole. Don't do it. While Mexico has lovely people and low-cost care, I wouldn't go for any medical procedure. And I'm a bilingual teacher who speaks fluent Spanish. It simply isn't as safe as in the US. Continue to refuse. Just don't do it. This is raising so many red flags it isn't even funny. Your husband is either insanely uncaring about your needs during labor, or is actively trying to isolate you and your baby somewhere you can't speak the language. Not the asshole, but I'm worried for you. Please send us an update eventually. I'm worried about you and what kind of father, man he will be if this is his stance now. It doesn't feel honest and isn't sensible, and this is me saying it kindly and giving the benefit of the doubt. There is a reason women risk their lives sneaking into the US from Mexico to give birth in the US. Not the other way around. NTA. Giving birth can be scary, and if something goes wrong, you'll want a team you know and that you can easily communicate with. I feel for him, that he wants his family there. And also recognize that this process is much more impacting for him than you. Even for the first 6 weeks or so after the baby is here. You'll need to heal. That will happen more easily if you are feeling comfortable and not stressed. It's a hard one. It's hard being away. My son was 5 months old when we took him to my SO's home country to visit family. It sucked. And it was also the best choice of a difficult situation. Your husband is allowed to feel his feelings, for sure, and ultimately it comes down to what is safest and most supportive to the health and well-being of mom and baby. Mexican here. People in Mexico go into debt because they want to have their kids in the US to claim benefits. People who obviously enter with a tourist visa. I get your husband wants to have his family involved. But at this moment is not about his family, is about your comfort. And even more now that we are in a pandemic. Hospitals are not a great place to be at the moment. Don't get me wrong, we have great and luxurious hospitals. But you already have insurance and your own doctor. Don't let him pressure you. You are the one with the precious cargo. You should be in control. Not the asshole. You are the one giving birth, you decide. End of story. Not the asshole. As someone that's already gone through labor, it's such a stressful experience on its own. He shouldn't be trying to force you to deliver in a place where you can't communicate your needs. So many things are unpredictable during delivery. I'd be terrified not being able to communicate one-on-one with the doctor. Not the asshole. This is the only reason you need. The main problem is that I really want to be in control of my labor and delivery. I've already searched around for the hospital that will be most supportive of the birth I have envisioned. Your husband's claim. My husband is very upset and says that it is his baby too, and he should get a say in where he is born. Yes, it's his baby, but the birth is yours. You need to feel comfortable and safe, and he's looking to cause you stress. Tell him that you don't appreciate him prioritizing his family's convenience over your safety and happiness at this point. Not the asshole. As someone that's already gone through labor, it's such a stressful experience on its own. He shouldn't be trying to force you to deliver in a place where you can't communicate your needs. So many things are unpredictable during delivery. I'd be terrified not being able to communicate one-on-one with the doctor. Not the asshole. This is a medical procedure. You have the right to choose where you give birth and the doctor or medical practice that will do the delivery. That's pretty alarming for him to be like, 38 weeks we go on a trip and my cousin can do your medical procedure. His cousin may very well be a doctor, but they won't know anything about you as a patient. Giving birth is a medical procedure. You spend months with the medical practice that will have charts pertaining to you that will assist with the procedure. Your husband doesn't get a say in your medical procedure. After baby is born he gets a say about them, but not while the unborn child is still in your uterus. Okay, so reading between the lines a bit and from some of the other comments, I'm really starting to think your husband is planning to get you to move to Mexico with him. The less he can show and prove about his plan to return to the States, the more likely this sounds. You're not the asshole. Absolutely not the asshole. You have an OB that you really like. You've already discussed birth plans with them. Changing those plans now would be a huge hassle. Delivering your baby in a foreign country where you might not be able to talk to the doctor sounds very stressful. And there doesn't seem to be any benefit. It's not cheaper. It's not more convenient. It's not better at all. Stick to your gut and deliver where you want to. Your husband is there for moral support, but he does not get a say in how and where you deliver the baby. Not the asshole. How long can you realistically stay in Mexico? 2 weeks before, and how long to recover? Would you drive? Flying that close to your due date may not be an option. What about the paperwork required to recognize the baby as a citizen so you can bring them back into the country? What about all the stuff you need for a newborn? Does he just want to pack a nursery? That seems ridiculous. There is no way that I would even consider traveling to give birth. As a Mexican woman, I suggest not giving birth in Mexico. Unless it happens in a private hospital, partially covered by insurance yet still quite expensive, the attention is terrible. I've heard enough horror stories about public hospitals. Please give birth where you feel comfortable and safe. If this means moving with your own family for a while, so be it. Something doesn't feel right about this. Like he's got a plan in motion. You sure he's planning on going back to the US? Someone I worked with went to another country because his mill was sick. Once they got there his wife told him he was welcome to go back to the US, but the kids and her were not returning. So yeah, he's now living in the Sudan. Even outside of that concern, the last thing you will want to do is travel at 38 weeks. And since you are the one having the baby, then you need to be comfortable where you are having it. A hospital in a foreign land where you don't speak the language and no family is not it. Not the asshole. I'm sorry you are even in this discussion. Stay with your OB. Stay with your medical. Stay where you're comfortable. Not the asshole at the end of the day. It's you and your body that's going through this. Not the asshole. Language barriers would make me nervous, especially if there was a complication. He seems to be making this oddly combative and insistent to the point I would also be concerned with being able to bring the baby back into the States easily. Or what if he decides he doesn't want to leave because the baby will not know his family and yours can easily fly in and out? I would research all of your options so you are fully prepared. Maybe his family is putting pressure on him to be a part of the event, but it just seems weird that he would want to make you uncomfortable. Not the asshole. Holy shit.